Achieve success with Global.Media.com. Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com. Let's celebrate it with or without champagne.
Hello. I'm sure I beat everyone to it today where I haven't had any messages saying, "Any, when are you going live? You're late." But no, here I am. It's nice to be ahead of the curve for a bit. Of course, I'm not starting perfectly on time, but I'm here. You're here, my friends. Look, if you're here, do drop us a comment so that I can welcome you. I can celebrate you joining us today. I'm just trying to start my YouTube, which I get the habit of doing every time I do an event, right? So welcome. William, thanks for joining us, William. That's nice. I got your message saying you said RSVP for my event, but you didn't send me the link, William. You have to send the link, man. Come on, I'm lazy. It's not just I'm lazy. Everyone's lazy. So I think hopefully I'm so glad you're here. So I didn't think you would join, but when's your event anyway? Michael, leave me alone. No, anyway, I'm so glad you're here, William. You give us some information about your event. When is it? And what are you talking about in your show, my friend? Of course, how can we join is another question that I think will be useful to all of us. Yeah, you feel free to post the link for your event on my event in the comments on my event page. And I never know who from here wants to come along. So please do. Michelle Ramos, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us. I see your message, and so yes, I'll put it up on screen. So you got surgery the day before. So you got the surgery yesterday. I think it's yesterday, right? Yeah. This event was set up. One of my rare events I set up a week in advance. Logistics, my friends. Logistics is why I set it up a week in advance, because I suppose we had a friend of mine had 1,000 invites, the LinkedIn invites allowance to use last week. And I had different plans for the invites this week. So I created this event early last week. Well, before last weekend. But if you don't know what I'm talking about at all, then look, understand this, my friends. There's something called the LinkedIn Week. A LinkedIn Week is, I guess, is that time when you get your 1,000 invites. And a LinkedIn Week almost guides what we do for these events. Let me work out how to, I learned a trick from Dr. Melissa Houston. Let me see if I can find that trick. How to add background. It's here somewhere, right? Oh, background. There you go. So I can add my own. I got my own already. Okay, let's go with that one. Yeah, so I learned from Melissa that you can add your own background to these things, which is an amazing thing. It's an amazing feature, right? Anyway, going back to my LinkedIn, the LinkedIn Week. Look, it's quite simply, you get 1,000 invites a week to invite people to your events on LinkedIn, to invite your connections. And the LinkedIn Week, which I live by, those who do events tend to understand and live by, goes from Sunday midnight, so Sunday 12 a.m. to Saturday 11:59 p.m. In that time, you got 1,000 invites to use. If you don't use your 1,000 invites in that time before, that's 11:59 p.m. in your time, then you lose the allowance for that week. So this is why I don't do events more. I don't do any more than one of each event a week, because my friends can invite their 1,000 invites, right? But once you understand the LinkedIn Weeks, then you tend to manage how you use your invites. Prof, how are you doing? Great to have you here. You're a busy lady, my friend. You're a busy lady. We were on a show together last night, right?
Yeah, thank you so much. You made it happen.
Here you are. Now, you're the star. I'm the shy
Oh,
one.
am I
I'm the
the
shy.
star? Oh, thank you,
You are the
dude.
star.
I am the star. Uh,
Your book is coming today. I bought the
can I?
Financial Freedom book. That's been delivered today. It hasn't got
So
here yet.
where did it come from?
What your Financial Freedom book?
Okay. Let me ask you one question. You
Yeah,
know, I
please.
have some friends who wanted the book from London. They could
Mhm.
not order it.
Why not?
Actually, all my books, they wanted to order all the books from London.
Just go to Amazon.co.uk and search for the books. What's so hard?
Oh, okay. They can order the book from London, right?
Yes. Yeah, look,
Okay.
the trick is, or the difficulty, which no one tells you, which I will tell you, is
Uh-huh.
that no, people don't realize that there's 15 Amazon stores, and you can only
Okay.
shop in your store, in your
Okay.
local store, right? So if your
Okay.
friends in the UK, they need to go to Amazon.co.uk, not Amazon.com, not Amazon. Anything else, not Amazon.Canada. So they need to go
Okay.
to co.uk, do a search for the book, and they're all there.
Okay. Thank you so much. You know what?
Excellent.
After our event last night, they wanted to read the books.
So they should.
You haven't done this event, so people don't even know what you have, But anyway, we showed up last night. That was good.
We did. We did. Well, I suppose it's a two-way street. You have to write the book first and then show up.
Yeah, you have to write the book, then show up. Yeah.
I think, as Jay said, I think that when you talk about your book is when you bring it to life,
Yeah.
and that's what gets people interested, really, in the
You talk
end.
about your book, you show your book.
Yeah, yeah. And I suppose, look, so in keeping with us, I'm talking. I'm looking the other way. In keeping with our theme today, our books are there for, we write books for a reason, right? We write
Yeah.
books for a reason,
Yeah.
and
Don't just start writing a book.
yeah. So no, I think once we have that reason, then we'll write the book. Then we're going to explain and tell people about our topic today, what I call your solution.
Hmm.
Your book is the answer to someone's question. It has to be. Maybe not.
Yeah.
If you don't want, if your book is just a load of your stories, which is fine, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And I said, if I came and I saw a video of someone who sat down, wrote his book for 14 years. It took him to write the book. 14 years.
Woo!
Right. He wrote the book. Lovely, lovely looking book. A big thick book. But no one cared. Didn't sell a single copy.
Because
Until
she was writing the book for herself.
yeah, no, it was him. So he was writing a book for himself essentially. So when no one bought the book, then he did a video. I posted it on social media about how no one bought the book after he put so much effort into it. And suddenly, people started buying the book. And he achieved bestseller. So good on him, right? Good on him, right?
That's good.
That's
good.
So let me do some more welcomes, and I'll come back to our point. I welcome William. I say Williams for the link for his event in the comments. You have to copy the link from here, my friends, to go and then paste that into your browser to RSVP, and then that way, but LinkedIn's going to remind you when the event starts. I'll look at it. If my diary is clear, I'll definitely go along. I have no idea when it is what it is. Michael, let me answer your question. On-pay invites, how long have you been using that? Michael, from day one. You might have seen my events are about engagement. I want people here. I want people to engage, people to talk, right? And the first thing I learned about events is this LinkedIn weekly stuff. I'm saying it now. Everyone gets this 1,000 invites a week. Sometimes LinkedIn glitches, and they might give you more. So you might overstep the 1,000 by a long way. I think my friend Paulette, she used to get 1,200 invites a week. If you're not using that and you have events, I don't know what you're doing. I'm saying, what now? Well, unless you're like, Dr. Melissa Houston, where you don't want, I don't know, I don't think she wants people at her events. She wants only people who are drawn to her. I think, let me not speak for Melissa really, because she has amazing events and her friends do turn up. But still, I don't take the risk. I'm not that famous. No one likes me enough to just turn up to my events because
Do you worry about that?
randomly, right?
Do you
I
worry?
gotta work for you, all of you to be here. All of you here, I've sent you a DM today to say, come along to my event, right? That's how I feel events. That's how I get the engagement I want. Other people rely on the pulling power. I don't know what that means. I don't think it works out. Unless you're a true superstar. The problem we have is that no one knows your shows are on. No one knows your events are on. Right? If no one knows your events are on, they can't join. That's why I send DMs as well as the invites through LinkedIn. Anyway, welcome, Dr. Lisa. I see you, Lisa the Genius. This is what I'm told to call you. So, you see Dr. Lisa to me, right? Yeah, welcome. Oh, Melissa, you're pushing the boat out these days, I tell you. Melissa sends 10 invites that are intentional and then lets it go from there most weeks. Just use your 1,000 invites, but just use your 1,000 invites. And you can still handpick people that you want from your 1,000 invites. Say when I do mine on LinkedIn, I do my invites. I personally, you can bulk invite, and then LinkedIn would, if you know how to use the system, if you scroll basically, then LinkedIn will invite all the people that you scroll past, and then I go and delete those I don't want to really invite. To make sure, because the 1,000 invites, it's not really a lot if you think about it. It's a weird thing. It's a weird. It's 1,000 invites goes very quickly. I think then it's a game, maybe like Melissa's playing, where your bona fide friends know who would work for you, and they get the invites, and then you have to try different audiences, right? You have to see if I try. My friends in Canada, my friends in UK, will they turn up? You begin to really work out who comes, and you invite them more, and then you invite more and more, and so your fan base grows. Those who are aware of you grows. It's everything. William, Sunday at 4. Good chance I'll be there. I don't think I've got anything in my diary at that time, so I'll definitely be there for sure. Superb. So Michael says, I hear nothing but great things about you. Thank goodness. I try, William. I try. I do. I've got a secret formula, William. It's not really that secret because when you meet me, then you realize it's what I'm doing, right? I love everyone in my sphere. I love everyone in my network. I love people. I love what you do. I love what everyone does. I just love people, right? I love people because I'm bored. I love people because I think you have to have love to build your business. You have to have love to build a community. You have to care about the people who spend time with you and give you the time and the efforts, right? And I think it is just so we're just being open to the joys of life. And maybe I like being amazed by people, and I'm always amazed every day. It's like, wow. I'm described as a gem. William, stop it. You're making me blush now. I'm gonna go red, right? It's like they say, look, I've got good friends, and I'm lucky. I really feel lucky to have those good friends. That's what I can say, right? And good friends turn up for you, right? And good friends. Oh no, I think the one thing that people don't say often enough, which what I mean by community building, is that good friends open opportunities that you can't even think about. They say now if you've got good friends on LinkedIn always works well. Amazing things happen. Things I didn't think about. I mean, I'm looking at William on stage, for example. I'm saying that in the studio, right? So me and William were friends for a good part of a year and a bit, and who knew that we're going to William's conference in September to go and speak on his stage to 300 plus people? Who knew? I didn't know when we first met, but that's what happens when you have real friends. And doors open. And I say that's what I was talking to a new friend yesterday. I say new friend, it's not really a friend, a good friend. By the time we got off the call, yes, I know not everyone's got 6 hours to spare, but literally, by the time we got off the call, we planned her first 4 books that she's going to write. I'm going to publish them, of course, and make them bestsellers. Who would have known? There's other things that we're doing beside that. And there's a freight business thing that we're working on as well. I'm saying be friends with people, and friends do good for each other, right? Friends help each other. So I just try and be a good friend, and I'm lucky that my friends reciprocate and say nice things about me. I accept that. Of course, I'll accept your connection requests. I definitely will. But do prepare, William, to receive my invitations, because I do send many invitations. I really do. Right. Let's talk about our topic today, because I'm lucky. I've got 2 of my favorite authors on stage, so I'd love to hear their take on the points I think we can learn from today. So here goes. Look, you don't just sit down and just write a load of words to write your book, right? I think we have to be a bit more intentional. We have to be deliberate. When we're deliberate, I suppose we can write the book that we want to write, number one, but more importantly, we can write the book that will help our readers. I think it's all about asking yourself the big questions, as I call them, right? We have to have an answer to the big questions. So because the big questions, I suppose, will give us an idea of why are we writing this book. And then when you have a why, then the what am I going to write becomes easier to identify. And then the how becomes easy to work out as well, right? Look, let's face it, there's different ways to write books. There's so many different ways you can write. Some books, of course, if it's a fiction book, then you can fantasize and dream and have, and create a book that takes people into different realms and different worlds, mentally, of course. I'm saying that might be the type of book that you want to write. But now, even then, you still have a choice. Now, do you write a romance book to convey your story? That thing that's bugging you, that thing that you want to convey, that solution. Do you write a horror book? I'm told there are very few horror books out there. What? The people write horror books, they're not very popular, and people don't tend to buy into them. And Amazon doesn't love them that much. But literally, I'm saying, you can choose how you're going to write your book once you know who you're writing for, and also once you know what you're going to write. Think of, when we think of solutions, what do you want readers to understand? That's a question of what's your solution? Are you going to give them factual information? Are you going to give them, something else? Something else, right? But even then, there's so many questions. Factual information, right? Now, is it a model you've created? Is it research? What you want people to know would necessarily guide how you tell them what you want them to know. So look, before I give the mic to my friends on stage to learn how to try and understand how they got the solution across in their book. And I'll say this, and I say one of my good friends' book I'm working on as we speak is a load of lists. It's giving people step-by-step guide, for different parts of the solution that is created, right? let me tell you, there's nothing more boring than just seeing a page after page after page. Here's 10 steps: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's do it again on the next page. That's just dreadful, right? I'm saying we need to find a way, one, to present those steps to make them engaging. So that's, I realize, even right from the start, that's where we are now. That is the game we're playing. I need to find a way to present that information that way readers don't get bored and don't switch off. But every book has complexities. Every book has a solution. That you want people to know. Are you going to use pictures? You're going to use diagrams? How are you going to show them what you want to show them? Are you going to keep telling stories? Which is fine. Nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with any of the solutions. But you must try and identify what you want them to know, and then work out how best to get them to understand it. That's my point today. Look, if you want to come and share about your book, please come in the studio. Come and share with us, right? You're welcome to share in the comments. If you want to tell us about your book, if you want to tell us how you work out how to, I guess, present different types of information in your book. William, I've talked way too much. Before of course I'm going to. There's 12. Okay, I've lost Roxana for a bit. Sure, she'll come back. Let's welcome Bolanle. Welcome. Always great to have you in our rooms. Crystal, Mr. Crystal's on lunch, I'm sure. Just got called in early. Just stop by, say hi, and show some love. Welcome, Crystal. Crystal's written several books and anthologies as well. So that's another type of book, right? A group book. Again, where you have to, if you're writing a group book, then is it everyone telling the story about the same issue, or is it other people talking about different issues? Again, you have to work out how you're going to put it all together to make it make sense to the reader. Because what do you want the reader to understand and know is a big question that we're trying to answer. William, talk to us. How are you doing?
I'm doing so well, Annie. Thank you for having me here. I want to say before I speak, I want to say big shout outs to Bolanya. She's been an amazing friend, and she's currently in Ghana right now. So good to see her.
What is going
Superb. No, you and I have a long day, right? Joni, I don't know what you know. Joni, you're not on screen. I can see the background.
I know this is. I'm telling you, something has happened to my computer. It like restarted. This is a picture I took of a barn near my lake house. Gosh, at least 10 years ago. How did that get on here? I did not love this. I'm not kidding. I'm not technically challenged. Something is going on. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue talking.
We'll definitely come back to you. William, you and I have a long day ahead of us. Because we've got our show after this, right? 5 o'clock. So we'll try and leave here on time, within reason. Say 4:30 thereabouts. A hard stop within that, as best as we can do. So now we've got our show about William's conference. No Human is Useless conference is what I called it. Why am I talking about it? You tell us what it is, William. Tell us what it is.
Annie, so first of all, I just want to say that I had no intentions of becoming an author in the first place. I had no intentions about that. But situations led to it, and it has been an amazing journey. So before I come to the topic, I just want to share a best story what led me into becoming an author was that I was just introduced to this group in the US, a networking group, online networking group, and I told them my story, and then they loved it. They loved my story, and then next they featured me on the Times Square billboard. Then I became part of the group, and so on a weekly basis, we used to meet. And then we had discussions, and all they do is they try to help people in the group to get gigs. Like, let's say if you're in some sort of business, they help you get gigs and all of that. But then any time I joined the group, if anybody is speaking, they keep talking about books. I read this book and it really changed my life. Have you read this book? They were discussing about books, and reading. And I wasn't exposed to that kind of life. You know, we have a notion here that people from our side of the world don't like reading. You know, we're all about the money. So I had no intention of becoming an author until I realized that these people, every minute in their speech, they talk about books. Books, they've read this book. So I had a plan that, okay, so if these people love books and I have a story, a real story that can change life and have an impact, why don't I write a book? You know, so that is where I had a thought of becoming an author. Otherwise, I had no idea. And so I got back to my pen and paper and started writing No Human is Useless. And it took a while. It was very difficult because I had forgotten some of the incidents, you know, and I didn't know if I should start from when I was born or what is going on with my life currently. You know, it was a mixed up. But I started writing from what I remember. Then so far so good. It became fruitful and it came to life, and these people started buying the book. You know, so that was my journey of becoming an author. When I had no intentions, it was because of the situation, the people I met who loved books, and I thought I could capitalize on that because I had a story. So this book has come to life. But after writing the book and seeing the traction and all of that, I feel that for me, I love to write realities, things that is really happening, things that are people can witness and you know people can attest to it. I don't love to write fictional stuff. I want things that has been like that is the reality that people can read and say, okay, this is so true because I've been through it before and I have witnessed it. So for me, I love to come from the perspective of writing realities, things that is really happening. And my next book about my daughter Kilani, it's something that I've read, like it's something that's going on between me and my 2-year-old daughter, things that I'm witnessing, the kind of traits and behaviors that the little girl is knowing that is really having effect on my life, changing my way of thinking in even in business and spirituality, how to become patient, how to take my time to make decisions, how to switch up stuff because of emergencies and all of that. So I love to come from the point of being real, being genuine, right? What is really going on, so people can relate to it. People going through stuff can relate to it. So that is a bit of what I want to share about this topic.
Of course, I like that, you know, and I get it. You know, so once we know your why, you know, so now I think inspiring people with real stories. I think I think that almost guides how you write your book, right? And I say your book is, you know, it's real stories. It's you know, it's your real experiences and where you.
Yes.
I always say in our books and our stories, we need to find out those moments of transformation, moments where we learn big lessons that we want the audience to really get. Yeah, it's, you know. So how did you sort of decide on your format, and how did you decide, even down to chapters? You know, how did you break it down?
So okay, so for me, like I said, I had no format, and all those stuff. But when I finished writing, like remembering all the things that I've been through and how I was able to turn my pain into purpose, every scene has a different story. Like me having issues with a church leader, the religion aspect, me having issues with my family, like my grandmom sacking me from the house when I had no one to tend to, me having real experiences with business, you know, how I had a whole business, how everything went down and all of that. So it comes with situations on different bases. But then I had no idea about publishing all those stuff. So I just wrote everything, what I remember, in a word format. All right. And I try to I always want things that will grab attention to as well. So like for my challenge with the religious leader like that, I put up the title "Religion Enslaved Me and Almost Changed My Dreams." That topic, when people saw it, they felt I wasn't spiritual, I wasn't religion, I was against God, and that really caught the traction. That really caught people to have an attention on the book. because they really want to know what is in there, that I'm saying that religion enslaved me and almost changed my dream. But when they get to read the book, they realize that no, it was just one man who used religion to mentally enslave me, and it's not about religion as a whole. So such titles, I love to use catchy titles that will draw attention, like a clickbait, so people would want to see what this boy is really talking about. So they end up joining in, read it, and they realize that, oh, after all, it wasn't what we really meant with the topic, but it's something deeper than that, and it's just about just one person who tried to use religion to enslave somebody. All right, so I believe the topics are really, the titles, the chapters are really important to lead as a clickbait to really sell the book. And so for me, after I did all those things, I just pushed it out to one guy who was a publisher who tried to do the arrangement. I didn't know, so now I don't know how to do it, the formatting and all of that. But my next book, you are going to handle it for me, Annie. I have no idea about it. So he just did it, and that we just built it out.
I like the concept of clickbait, as you call it. I think that, of course, it's one, we have to hook people in, right? We have to get them to pay attention. We have to didn't disrupt their day. They're just reading stuff. We have to do something that's going to make them go, what? And let me tell you, I know enough, William, as an African, to say religion nearly destroyed me. Most Africans would be like, "You evil man! How can you say that?" Without even reading the story. I'm saying, that's one of the greatest hooks I'm sure that you come up with. But look, thanks for sharing with us, and of course stay and share some more. I think it's something like that clarity. What do you want them to know, right? What do you want people to know? What's a solution that you are giving in your book?
So for me, based on my first book, No Human is Useless, I really wanted to send a message to people that regardless of whoever, whatever your skin color, whatever situation you're going through, or whatever thing that you feel that brings you down, my message was to let people know that every human being is special. Every human being has something within them that needs to come out for the world to see. And so no human being is good for nothing. Like, you can't tell somebody that they are good for nothing. Everybody has a purpose. It is just that they are not aware. All right. And life situations have made them feel that they don't matter. So my message was to let people know that regardless of who they are, they have a purpose, and it needs to come to the world. For it needs to come out for the world to see. So with No Human is Useless, my first book, my main message was that to let people know that they matter, they have a voice, and they have purpose to give to the world.
I totally agree with you. I think we'll need inspirational messages. We'll need to be inspired. And I said that our conversation later after this event is, how can we inspire children and young people to achieve their potential? I think so. The theme carries on. Again, there's different formats that you can, that you can share your story. Now, yours is a life story essentially, which is a good thing, right? And I think that gives people a look to see. And I guess when I read your book, it's a case of seeing how far into despair and depression can someone go and still rise, and rise quickly. That's your story, really, William. You have bounced back in a way that I'm sure many will find amazing. But we're meant to read your book and say, yeah, wow, someone did that. So can I. Why not me? And I say, given that your target audience, your focus on youth. They really can ask, and then when they read your story, they'll realize it can be me too. I can do this, no matter how far down I might think I am. It's an amazing way to do it, my friends. It's an amazing way. Peter, Mr. Popeye, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. Peter, what can I say? You know what? It's taken me I think the best part of 3 years to work out how to do a pull-up, Peter. I can't do a pull-up. You'd be glad to know, people. I'm far too big. My arms are far too small. I'm close though. You see, I've got a hanging thing in my garden that my wife bought it and my son makes me do it. And I don't know, for some unknown reason, I just never, I didn't get it. You know, I try and do it, but I'm just like, my hands hurt. You know, and then so the other day I did. Peter's a weight exercise and weight guy. You know, that's why they call him Mr. Popeye, right? Yeah, he's that person who's super muscly. Of course, he's a recruiter as well. Anyway, eventually, the other day dawned on me. Whenever I watch my son, he's 16 and he's just like, he just holds the bar and just does up and down. I'm like, damn. No, but it shaped he shaped his body so differently now. You know, he's like one of those Mr. Olympia people, right? And I'm like, why am I always trying to do it that way? In a way that it doesn't. My arms just get tired and my hands hurt. Yesterday I tried it this way, and I'm close. I can actually hold myself up for about 45 seconds, which is good. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. The day before, when I tried it was 14 seconds to 45. So I'm hopeful now, Peter. Give me some more tips on how I can improve this pull-up things that I've done. I just want to do one pull-up in my life. If I do that, I'd be happy with this. That's me. I got my own personal problem. I might write a book about it. You never know, right? You know. So William, I agree with you. Look, you know, in life we must understand our why.
Annie, can you hear me?
Yeah. I'll come to you in a second.
Okay, because the camera is just I don't know what's happened. Last night, like my computer shut down because of some sort of malware, and I don't know.
Really, malware? What the one? I don't know. Do you know what?
It happened because of Paula. Let's just be honest. But no, I'm kidding. It did happen.
I'll come to you in one moment. Let me finish.
But I can do a pull-up and a chin-up every day.
Wow.
And I do 50 push-ups.
You got big arms and a small body, clearly.
No, I got muscle.
You're like me.
I just
big body, no arms.
I got I got strong arms, and I am pretty skinny. So that's easy to pull that weight up. But it takes so much work to do a push-up. Or no, I'm sorry, a pull-up. Yeah. And then the chin-ups are easier. Anyway, go ahead.
That's why I say that if I can just do one pull-up in my lifetime, I'll be happy. I mean that sincerely. I really would. I would celebrate. And you know, of course, I want to try and do more. But I'm saying just do one. I can't see myself doing one ever. But I'm saying at least I can hold myself up pretty close to the bar. You know, I got to try and go down and come back up, which is just like remarkable. Anyway, one day, Jody. You know, as William says. Many people don't reach their potential, their destiny, because they have no clear vision where they want to go.
You can go to the gym and use like the machine that like kind of like helps you do a pull up, and then you'll get there. Yeah,
no, I've got the bands. You know those bands. Those I don't know what they call them. The bands that they're thick. They can pull you down and put my leg in it, and then it can. I'm sure it can hold me up. I want to do it properly. You know,
it takes a lot of time. Like if I don't like practice, because I have a pull-up bar in my office, and if you don't do it for 2 weeks, I'm like I'm just hanging limp on the bar. So just do not worry. It just takes practice.
Look, I made progress. I hear you totally. I made progress yesterday, this morning, should I say. So I'm happy with myself. William, ignore us. Ignore us. Well, William says in the audience, cheaters never prosper. Not machine help. Yeah, I agree with you. You know, I might get some assistance, as Jody is saying, one day. But I'll keep trying and build it. I need to build the muscles, right? I need to build the technique as well. That's what it comes down to. Jody, let's talk about you and your books.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sorry I can't be on camera.
It's all right. It's all right.
So I think, you know, first of all, you have to want to do this. You have to want it inside you. And so you reflect upon your own life. That's where a lot of stories come from. You have to reflect on what you actually want to write. So obviously, memoirs don't sell as much as a fiction book or a children's book or a cookbook. But it's definitely so important if you have that inside you to write that down for your legacy. And so I absolutely think that that's important, especially if you have children. And congratulations to you, Willie. Just not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it.
You are gonna say,
I'm not.
you
And
can't not
so,
say I know you, right?
but I really, as I've said before, and as William had said before, collaboration and just getting your ideas out there in front of other people is so important, because sometimes your ideas can be disjointed, and it's nice to have someone else's point of view. And the biggest struggle for me was really finding, the right person to publish the book, which is now Annie. He's amazing, but there is so many fake publishers out there, and so just be aware of like that it's just not all the same. And also realize, once you've written your book, there's a lot of other pieces to that puzzle to actually make it successful. So like the marketing piece, the self-promoting piece, giving it away free to bookstores or to libraries, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. But really choose someone to help you with your book that is honorable and trustworthy. And so that's a really big piece of advice I have to give to anyone. Don't give $2,000 to, Malaysia for them to, ghostwrite your book. That's like ridiculous. And it's very real. And so, and don't use Chat GPT to write your book. Though, I'm telling you that Artsonia for illustrations is pretty dope. But then I wrote a children's book, and they did the best illustrations, and of course my
Yes.
kids read it.
Yeah,
And
man. Let's hang there for a second, Joni.
okay, sorry.
Again, I think that's the important part of the conversation, right?
Yeah, sorry.
When of course, working on the Triceratops sisters book, then it's about dinosaurs, and we want some dinosaurs pictures in the book. And you're thinking, where do I get those from? Now, of course, some people have created dinosaur pictures. There's, those picture places that have dinosaur pictures, right? Where you have to pay for them or to get a license. And then Joni does the right thing and goes and creates her own. Of course, you have to use AI and say, why? How else are you going to do it? Well done, you, Joni. Say, well done, you. Again, I think that's part of the knowing how you want or what you want your readers to know. And your thing is about getting the readers to understand the life of dinosaurs, the factual stuff, and also some humane stuff of dinosaurs, the day-to-day experiences. You have to read Joni's book to know what I'm talking about. No, it's a real book about dinosaurs and how dinosaurs can be loving, caring creatures, fun creatures.
The Triceratops sisters, because there's 3 of them, and each chapter is just a new journey, and meeting a new type of dinosaur, and it's really geared towards like 8-year-old, 6 to 8-year-olds, I would say, the reading with their parents at night. And then in the back there is a whole section of facts, because little kids love facts. And so I did my research on the facts, and it talks about the different, periods of dinosaurs and what dinosaurs lived in the different periods, and just facts about triceratops and how they were herbivores and they're the largest herbivore. And my dad had told stories like this to me when I was a little girl. So it's really for him before, because he's has dementia. And so I really wanted to get this out so that he could, enjoy it. But I'm not an illustrator. And so I found an inexpensive way to do that. And the drawings are freaking amazing. And it was a 1 week free Artsonia, inter just like interim thing, and then I canceled it.
Yeah.
And
Good for
so
you. Good for you.
yes. And you gotta do what you gotta do, but certainly don't fall prey to scams. But really try to know your audience. It's like, if you want to write your memoir, like, who really wants to read that? Like, obviously his community wants to know these stories because they were so relatable to his community. And like, I'm sure other people in his community were like, yeah, like that kind of actually was me too. And you can see yourself in that, and that's a really powerful thing. But yeah, I wrote a memoir too, but it's that's later to go through. But anyways, yeah, so there's many tools out there to help you and many tools out there to hurt you. So just pick them wisely and have some good friends around you.
Yes, look, it is. It's what you say, Joni. I think it's learning the tools that are out there to help you to convey your message in a real, authentic way. I think that William mentioned using word. I'm saying that's straightforward. You tell your story. No, but word is very useful. Now, it does. It does many good things for you if you want to publish a book. If you know how to use the parameters, especially, it makes life easier. It's not the best tool ever. I'm saying, I've got a different way of to say. I like to lay out books in a way that things don't move. If you use Joni's book for this dinosaur picture book, then that's what Joni's book really is. I don't want the pictures moving. I don't want to put a picture on a page on page 3, and next time we'll look, it's on page 7, or it's half between page 1 and 2. I can't cope. So I fix everything into a design format. Now everything's fixed. Again, so of course, creating images. What type of images do you want? Do you need? That matters. Now, some books don't have any images. Some books don't have any tables. They haven't got any stats. I'm saying, if you want your readers to know factual information, then you have to work out how best to present that information. That's the conversation we're having today, right? Mr. Cyrus, I see you. As I mentioned earlier, Cyrus's book now it's more a step-by-step guide, and that's a challenge to present. Let me tell you, because it can look very boring. Think of the books that you look at, right? Do you really want a whole little list on every page? Maybe not. We have to find a way to provide a narrative and then provide, I guess, an image, maybe. We have to find a different way to break it up, right? To make it less like a list, but more. And this, I think, here's the thing. I think even a thing like lists, you're still telling a story. Bear that in mind. Even when we're presenting data, we're still telling a story. If we're not telling a story, people would just switch off and not even look at it. I'm saying we have to learn to tell stories in different ways that we do. Joni and William, here's my next question for you. You've both written 2 books. And I guess my question for you is, given that
I'm writing my 3rd.
Yeah, I think you probably your 4th, Joni, with the anthology.
Oh, right. Well, yes, that would be great. Yeah, my 3rd, that I'm writing is a cookbook with my recipes and my mom's.
Right. Now, okay. Now, so this gives you a lot to share with us, Joni.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that all your books, your books have different focus, different things you want people to take from it, right? What you want. When I keep saying, what do you want them to learn? Your books you have different agendas, so to speak, right?
Yep.
So my question to you is, how have you chosen to present each of your agendas? Are they the same? And have you chosen to write your book, basically? Have you chosen to get the information across? Is it if I look at both books, William, of yours, for example, will I say, yeah, these are definitely William's books, they're written the same way? Or are they written differently based on your agenda? Think about that for a second. Now, let me talk about Mark. Welcome, Mark. I see your long message. Now, Cyrus, yes, of course, now publishing day is it's soon. Every day is soon, right? Mark, I do see your long message, and I say Mark operates on the Mark TV. It says marketing director. Okay, right. Welcome. That's a long message. I'm sure you'll find a way to get our friends to know. Little Mania Wrestling Midgets All Stars. What's that? Curious. Anyway, right. That's all I can say in the comments. So many words, Mark. That's a lot of comments, right? You can join the stage to share with us. And Mark says he knows a good publisher that's taking people to international best-selling author. It's only you 3 times. The difference, Mark. I've got 100% success rate in making my authors bestsellers. 100%. That's a good place to be. I think Williams got to, I think we worked at 9 the other day because we had a bestseller come in, I think in April this year for the book that we launched last year? Right, that's area. Yeah, so
Right.
and that's across 4 countries.
You're preaching on the wrong audience, hon. You're talking to Annie right now. He's like the publisher. You're taking away from his business. All right.
He's not taking it away. I'm giving Mark the spotlight because I'm joking.
Okay.
That's what I'm putting on screen. Like, well, you can't say I hid him away and I bypassed him because first competition. No, there's enough business out there for all of us, Mark. So I have no problem with you saying what you do. But I guess the answer on LinkedIn is always the same. Make real friends. This is what we started off today. Me and William. Make real friends. Support your friends, and our friends will use our services when the time comes. Michael, how you doing? Habarigani. Hopefully I say it properly. Welcome. So Marlene, long time. I said long time. It's been a minute, Marlene, like a day, right? Marlene was on Lewis' show on Go Brunch a couple of days ago. So I'm glad you're here. I know Marlene's working on an anthology. So do connect with her. I forget what it's about really, but it's really to go through Annie's head. And Henry, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here. Henry does have a book as well. Henry does have a book, and not many people know about Henry's book. And I say, well, this man talks immunotherapy. And connect with him. Immunotherapy is where he's at when it comes to cancer care and so on. But he has many other ideas, other solutions for the world. So, and let me come back to you two, my friends. So, William and Joni, how did you choose the way to write your different books? Are they different books? I mean, are they different ways? Have you written in different styles, different ways?
No,
I think
for me, a lot of things, obviously they come from what you know, what experiences you've had. So that is, my dad told me stories about dinosaurs. So I wrote a children's book about dinosaurs. And, I have led a slightly different life than a lot of American women. So I wrote a memoir about that, just for my children, really, to know my story, honestly. And, the other books, I wrote a small book about Spanish literacy because I know how important learning a new language is.
Mm.
And that now I'm, working on this cookbook recipe book that's just was like, it's like the one thing, my mom wrote down all of her recipes for me. And they always ask that silly question, like, if your house was on fire, what would be the one thing you would take? And it would be my mom's cookbook, for sure. I mean, obviously, I'd take my animals and children, but it would be my mom's cookbook if it was a material thing. And I have come up with so many great recipes over the years, and I love to cook. And so that's kind of why. And I introduce each recipe with a little story. So that's you have to do something close to your heart, something that you know about. Like, you can't just be like, hey, I'm going to write a book about basketball, and I've never played basketball, I've never met a basketball player, I don't know, but it's going to sell. It's not going to sell if you don't have the passion behind it. And so, really be like, intentional in what you are writing, and be thoughtful of, what you actually want to happen from that book. But guys, everyone can write, everyone can do it. You
Yeah.
can use, your voice, like, to write down in notes in your phone, just be like, whatever. Today, I raise puppies, for instance, and I are golden retrievers, and I voice over, today the puppies started opening their eyes and they have reached their 3-pound mark. And, it's so amazing to see their different personalities come out. And, it looks like, the runt is doing so much better or something like that. I do. And so it's not, you don't have to be sitting at a computer typing. Fortunately, you can do voiceover to notes, and then that's really your voice. And then you can edit it later, however you so choose. But, and then also, constantly be reading. Just constantly be reading. It is so important for your health and for it makes you such a much more interesting person. And I love to read, and so maybe that's why I am taking on like this journey as trying to, get a few things published. It's not for money for me, but it is because, as a little kid, I spent most summers at the library, and I filled out all those little sticker cards, like who gets the 500 book award or whatever it was. And then you would get like some little like prize, which was probably like a little like plastic thing that you had to get the maze through the little ball or something.
You're showing your age, Joni. You're showing your age. Those maze games, they were beautiful, right? They were beautiful in their own way.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Anyways, but just keep reading, and ideas will come to you.
Yes. Look, thank you. So I think that is the biggest wisdom today. William, I was gonna talk to you, but I think I'm realizing William in the audience is your friend. He's a true friend. You wonder why I say that. He says, "Oh, William joined my show once. No human is useless. Several people purchased his book from Amazon after the show. Hello, William." And then he says, "William, here's the bit I like the most." He says that he loves the mugs that you created. I'm waiting. We're working on 10 coming to me, and that is so good. I can't wait. I'm trying to think. Which ones? Who do I give which mugs to? Of course, I'm gonna keep many of them myself. I love mugs. It says, "Show the mug, William, and tell the story about it again." Feel free, William. If you want to go, if you want to.
We'll do it on our next. We'll do it on our next show.
Okay, all right. So get ready for that, right? Get ready for that. Look, Joni, the biggest lesson. I mean, you hit the nail on the head for us today. I think that the biggest takeaway today, my friends, is what Joni just said. Read more books. Read more books. Because that's how you're going to get ideas of how people tell the stories. So, there's so many different ways you can tell your story. Dr. Roxana's book, she was here earlier. Her books are more, they're more like almost subheading all the way through, right? And it's a short description of her methods, because her books are about how to make money, passive income strategies is one of the books. And there's loads of strategies. I'm saying you can't deep dive into any of them if you think about it, right? And how the book is financial freedom, how to make money through investments and savings. Again, it's a quick snapshot into many different strategies. So but I think the more you read books, the more you see how people tell their stories. If you don't do it, I have to do it. It takes me time, and I'll charge you for it. I'm just saying. It's just how it works. Sharon, welcome. Sharon Rose. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. Now, William. This William's a genius, I swear. Right. So before I come to you, William, I'll say this. As Joni was talking, I'm thinking, we can have picture books, right? We can have lists of step-by-steps. We can have diagrams. We can have different ways of telling the stories. Now, Joni's dinosaur book is a picture book. I expect Joni's recipe book is a picture book too. You tend to have to show pictures of the food that you're talking about, right? I'm wondering whether Joni's using her own pictures of the food that she's cooked, so people get a real view of her reality rather than glorious.
I am.
Excellent. I say that's what you want your readers to know, that you can, if you do this way, you will get this result. So, but when it comes to, I guess I'm thinking to myself, most books tend to be turned into audiobooks. No, it's not most. Many books.
It's great.
Right.
It's fantastic.
Right.
I dislike when people think that, if you listen to a book, you're not reading it because you're not leafing through a book. An audiobook is incredible also to hear the words. So that is absolutely fine. I have a subscription to Audible and I absolutely love it. And honestly, guys, a lot of podcasts that are super popular they're storytellers. I love listening to spoken words. So that is absolutely viable in my mind.
Joni Hargreaves, Joni, I don't know which Joni you are today. Joni, I don't know what the surname is today, Joni. Leave me alone.
It's just Joni Hargrave, but that's all. That's my whole name, Joni Hargrave. Joni Elizabeth.
Anyway, look, I think here's the question I'm mulling over my head. When you turn your book into an audiobook, how do you convey your thing that you want your readers to understand? And I know it sounds like a strange question. But what I'm really asking is, when you use pictures or diagrams, frameworks, call it what you like, right? You have to find a way to narrate those into someone who can't see the pictures because they listen to your audiobook, right? That's one consideration I think we need to bear in mind. And another thing I would say is, maybe we need to think beyond traditional books. So even books, now whatever books, now e-books, even print books, you can have links to resources that you've created, right? So where you can say to people, if you want to go and see what this looks like in a framework, in a diagram, go to this website, go to my website, and I'll go here, go there, and you see what this looks like in reality. I said, but now we have to think hard.
Annie,
That's God, Jody.
It's just an idea, but I think that for children's books, like a really interesting thing could be, and this is only because I told you about the VR headset for mental health, is doing children's books that are VR, and they get to click through the different scenes in your book and then have a narrator like come through and read the books to you, but they would kind of have it more interactive. And I think that would be just a really cool idea. If anyone's like a tech designer, reach out to me, because that could be just fun. Like going through the Jurassic period and like seeing what the dinosaurs are actually doing. That could be just a really educational and a cool idea for anyone. So, well, I think it's a cool idea. I don't know. That just came to me.
Annie,
You're
you're on
muted.
mute.
You're muted, Annie.
I said, I love dragons. Don't tell me they're not real. They're real. I know dragons exist. Jenny and I agree on that one. Cyrus, I do see you. Now, Sharon, I agree with you. Listening to books or podcasts is great. And I get through many books. I'm looking at my screen now. I've got 4 tabs of books, which I read books several times over. I keep saying this, right? Because I want to get it right. And Sharon, as you're saying, you can describe photos, which is useful for the blind or visually impaired. It's true. And again, that's another audience to think about really for your book. How do you convey the solution that you're trying to get them to understand? How do you put it? Now, do you have a diagram and then put it into words as well? I keep referring to Cyrus's book of steps. Say one way, Cyrus, is you give your steps, but then you also give examples, the story of someone who's done those steps, right? Have they gone through the steps, the challenges, the successes, the learning. That way, it's not just steps all the way. We have to find a way to bring those steps to life. Whatever your solution is, you must bring it to life somehow for the reader, whether they can see or not. I think, of course, Sharon, I think we love the VR idea. If I knew how to do it, Cyrus, you might know how to do VR for books. There's a market there. And Sharon says, Joni, let's chat. I'm coming to you too, Sharon. If you know how to turn books into VR, I'm definitely there. I'm sure everyone will be like, wow. At the moment, we just about got to books to audiobooks. I think, we can do better and create videos about our stories, which I say, think of your book as a multimedia resource rather than just a book of words, right? Think of being where you can take it off. People can basically go up from the book to online to get a more interactive view of what you're describing and what you're writing about, what your solution is, what you want them to know and learn. Joni, do connect with Sharon, please. I'm connected with Sharon already, so I'll DM you.
No, Sharon has my phone number. Right. We are connected, and I think she's just a really strong human being, and I love her. So,
can she create VR resources?
I think like that's just an amazing idea to, what. So, for instance, like when I was younger, like I read like the babysitters club books. Like, imagine being able to just virtually sit there with like all the babysitters and like, you know, listen to their chats. Like, it just would make it so magical for especially for kids and who are quite techy, and they're just like in and out of YouTube all day long and blah blah blah. Yeah, I think that could be a cool idea.
Yeah, no. So when you talk to her, of course, you and I talk often. So let me know, how she can help us go into that VR space if we, if that's possible, right? Harish, I see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Look, our time is short, so William, tell us about your different your different ways of conveying your key information in your books. Between book 1 and book 2, between No Human is Useless, which is a life story, and book 2, which is a children's book, I guess, how have you done? Have you implemented your solution?
For me, first off, I really write from within, right? I want it to come out from how I feel at that moment, what I'm going through, and all of that. That's why it always come from. And also, I have a registered NGO, No Human is Useless, and I'm trying to channel on one. I want to be known for one thing. If the name William Planch pops up, I want people to say, okay, he's the guy who talks about depression and giving hope. You understand? So for me right now, I want my style of writing to go through one channel that at the end of the day, it brings hope. It makes somebody overcome depression, and it makes them find their purpose. For me, that is for me for now. I don't know in the future if there are stuff going to come up, because I love to write from what I see and what comes from within that hits me so hard, right? So now I want to give an example, all right? When we were having our chat on you helping me get to the bestseller, I had somebody who reached out to me privately saying that, hey, don't work with any is this blah 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 blah, all of some stuff that I don't know nothing about. She was trying to make me no work with you, but I thought it right. I was like, I have a relationship with any. He hasn't shown any sign of what you are telling me. I don't even know you, so why do I listen to you and drop it? You understand? So if I had listened to her and then drop it, I wouldn't be 9 times international bestseller today. And I'm saying this because this whole situation, this whole scenery can be a book on its own, all right, to tell people that you don't have to jump on everything people say. Otherwise, you might lose something really precious in life. And this whole thing is a whole story, a whole journey, a whole book on its own, I can tell. And I want to be on that same wavelength of preaching depression, people building resilience, and people finding their purpose. So for me, for now, I'm on the same trend, the same one trend that has a link with my non-profit, No Human is Useless. But in the future, I don't know, in the future, if something comes up and it hits me from within, I might channel, like Joanne was saying, we'll write about basketball and all of it. If I go through that situation and I feel the need to write, I'll write about it. But right now, there's something I really regret not doing with my first book, The No Human is Useless, is not adding pictures to it. I really regret it right now because my journey, I have all the pictures throughout with my journey, living in the forest, when I was going through tough time and struggles and all of those stuff. I have pictures to it. It would have been solid if I added those moments, those pictures. So when people are reading, they can see my struggles in a picture form, and it will boost them because they will get to see the reality of it. All right. So that's one thing I regret right now, not adding to the book, and I don't know what to do with it in the future. But then for me, for now, I want to be on the same trend with motivation and then writing from within. Yes.
I do think so many people are
You're on mute.
learners.
No regrets ever, William. I think what we do is write the second edition.
Yeah.
and add
I
pictures.
agree. Just you keep going, you know,
That's
because
how it
as we were talking before, you know, you write a memoir and then, you know, it's been almost 2 years and so much has happened in my life. And I am like worried that it doesn't reflect exactly what happened totally in my life. And so I'm like, should I add like different chapters or an epilogue? And so, you know, but that was true. What I wrote in my first, you know, writing, that was true. And so, you know, feel really proud of yourself if you have written something down and don't second guess yourself because that's true in the moment. And, you know, so many of us, you know, of course we second guess ourselves, but I I agree with William that, you know, pictures really do. They add a lot for a lot of people. And so um, you know, I love reading a memoir and having a couple pictures thrown in. You know, like The Glass House, that was one of my favorite books. And she showed a couple pictures of the actual, you know, shack that she grew up in you know, West Virginia, and it was powerful. And so yeah, that's all
I
I've said.
agree. I agree. I agree. Again, this is a point I'm trying to make today. You know, you have to, once you know what you want people to know, then you have to make choices, right? How do I show them? Pictures are a great way, of course. They really are, right? Now, but as Sharon Rose says, that's agreeing with Joni. You know, when you write your book at the first time, it's your truth, right? It's like it's what you know, and that's what you get across. With time, you know, we can always improve things, right? We really can. You know, again, Sharon says, you know, like I suggested, you know, just do a second edition in the same book, you know, same accolades, you know, but you know, it's just a better book, right? You know, it conveys your message more, better. Now, pictures are a way. There's many other ways. You know, the layout, again, the types of stories we tell might change. There's some rules around on Amazon about how much your book will be different. No, there isn't really. For you say the same. And we can change our books every day, William. We can add pictures today and leave it as the same first edition, right? Those who got those who bought the book already, they have a version without pictures. Those who buy it from now on have pictures. I'm saying that's easily done, right? I think there's some 10% difference rule on Amazon that before you can say it's the same book, and before I have them go on to second edition. You know, but you know, it can be done. Look, on haters, my friends. Look, there's haters everywhere. We've all got haters. If you haven't got haters, you're not trying hard enough. That's the truth, right? You know, I love haters. I know there's someone who's trolling me right now. And I just laugh. I laugh at them and I comment and I tell them I'm laughing at them. I don't hide them. They're there, right? America sent me one this morning from my beloved hater. You know, look, here's the thing about haters. The question you say is, why are they doing this, right? Is it something I've done to them? Is it something I've done wrong? And as long as you can say to yourself, I haven't done anything wrong, I won't do anything differently, right? You know, then stand by your truth, stand by who you and what you do. You know, some people will love that. If you have haters, then you have people who love you as well. That's the truth. If no one loves you, no one hates you, no one knows you, no one's seeing you. So you know, I embrace them. I love haters. I love them because they've got nothing on me, really. You know, I know that for sure. I know I've done the same thing. What's that? Control. The thing I've done that makes me Satan, as I keep getting called by this person, is that I said my two cats are evil because they run the house. They control the dogs. They control me and my wife and my kids because we're just their slaves. Apparently, this person can't take the idea that cats are evil. So they think I'm Satan. I'm like, whatever. You know, I don't invite you. Anyway, do you go do you. But you make me laugh, you sad person. I leave it at that. Anyway. Sharon, I'm with you entirely. Sharon Rose says, when you write a second edition, when you add the pictures, William, how are you going to do it? Up the price. Agree. Well, I think, you know, you're probably going to have to anyway, right? Let me say a truth that not many people know. When you add pictures to a book, your file size gets bigger. Amazon will necessarily increase the price, the minimum price, because Amazon's prices are based on how big the file is. Pictures add size to your file, so you're gonna have to increase the price anyway. I don't know by how much I'm saying. You know, the minimum price will go up. Does that mean you raise your price? Maybe. No, but you know, you don't have to. I'm saying, depending on what the minimum price is. You know, so I've seen a book now based on size that's gone up to a lot. Now, $45 to start, which is a bit much, right? Cyrus, you missed your chance, Cyrus. I was going to come to you now, but what can we do? I'm more concerned about William's next show. No Human Issues.
And William, I think the invisible mugs, yo, get it out there. I want an invisible mug. Come on, send it over.
Join our show, Joni. Join our show that's on next. I'll send you the link, and then
I will.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find a way to get.
There's
We'll find a way to get this thing, one of these mugs to you, right?
I need an invisible mug. I need it.
What picture would you have on it, though, Joni?
The picture probably would be I don't know, my vagina.
No, you're not gonna have that. Joni, you're as crazy as they come. Your dogs, your kids. You know,
shut up! I want my vagina on there. All right.
You don't really.
Okay, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Maybe like I don't know. My life.
God help me, Joni, you're too funny. God help me. She's joking. No, William's not gonna put no. I see, William. It makes a question. Do you have rules? Do you have boundaries for what you put on someone's mug?
Well, they say the customer is always right. So what you want on it, I do. Once you are paying,
they're not always right.
Hell yeah. I mean, I think it wouldn't be a bad seller.
Stop it, Joni. No, Sharon Rose
okay,
wants a mug too.
I'm sorry. It's too early to be gross here. Okay.
It is. Sharon Rose wants a mug too. Sharon, you know what to do? Connect with William, you know, and come along to our next event at say on an hour. We're going to talk more about William's conference and William's creations. You know, so and of course there's a chance to get the mugs, so we'll cover that there. Yeah, Joni, you've made us laugh tremendously. You really have, right? I don't want to keep this any longer, my friends. So look, in the next room, we're going to talk about the last big question. You know, these 5 big questions are taken from a guide that Dr. Leslie Flowers sent me. She shared with us last year, right? See, so we're going to talk about the last question, the last big question for authors, which is, what do you want this book to do for you? I know many people would like to be altruistic and think about others. Yes, we've thought about your why are you writing the book. We've thought about who you're writing the book for. We thought about what do you want them to know. So of course, now the middle part is all about your readers, right? You know, but ultimately, your book, you only write your book really and finish it off when you have a clear why. Which I say why, but what you want the book to do for you. How will it change your life? How will it change? What will it help you become? Let's talk about it in 2 weeks' time, right? So until then, my friends, do join us for William's No Human is Useless conference events that we're going to start doing. So we've got one today, we've got one on Wednesday, and then we're going to have many more between now and the conference in September. So do join us. I could let William Joni speak and have more words, but you just take more time out of our preparation, William. I got things to do.
Okay. Well, thank you for hosting me. I will leave the studio. I'm with that final thought.
Thank you, Joni. You made us laugh.
Okay.
You have made us laugh. William says customers are always right. They are to a degree, Sharon Rose. I don't think they're always right. We tell them they're right, and then we say, "No, I'm not doing what you say." That's why I do it. And I know what's right for you in my world. I'll do what I know is right. If we have to fight, we'll fight. Until then, my friends, enjoy. So hopefully I'll see you in half an hour. Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone.
No human is you. Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com and celebrate it with or without champagne or rum. Achieve success with Global.Media.